So hopefully you can all see my screen now. Excellent,
Cool.
thanks Tim.
Yes, I can see it.
I can only see Tim and Jess, so thumbs up, thumbs down, wave at me if I'm doing anything terribly wrong, will you? You two can be in charge of me, that would be really useful. So good morning everybody and welcome to this webinar that's been brilliantly organised by Jess. As Jess has said, my name is Laura Jane Rawlings and I am the Chief Exec of Youth Employment UK, and Jess and I go back quite a few years now, where Jess began to volunteer with Youth Employment UK. Do you know when that was, Jess?
2012.
2012, almost at the very beginning of our journey. So wow, eight years that we've been connected. So it's great to still be working with you. As Jess has said, if you don't mind being on mute, I'm really happy to take questions. But if I hear your dog barking in the background, I'm going to be really distracted and I'm going to want to talk about your dog and not talk about employability skills. So if we can just mute yourselves, but if you've got a question, put your hand up, use the chat box, unmute yourself and let me know, and I'm really happy to take questions. So Jess has asked me to cover quite a few bits this morning. So what we will do is we'll make sure that you can get a copy of this presentation, so you don't necessarily need to take loads of notes, and the links that I'll talk to and refer to can come out to you in a presentation so that you've got access to everything. So hopefully that means you can enjoy your coffee or whatever your beverage of choice is this morning, and you know, sort of sit back and relax into the session. I'm going to just share a little bit of information about me before we start, really. Then we're going to talk about what employability skills are and why they're important. I'm going to provide some sort of discussion really around how you can develop them and top tips on improving your job hunting success. And then at the end, I've got a sort of a slide with just some other resources for extra support and information for you to sort of go and have a look at your leisure. If there is anything else you want to ask or anything else you want me to cover, then please let me know, because we can be all the flexible and share that. So just a little bit of background about me to get us started. I left school at 16. I didn't particularly enjoy school. I was bullied quite a bit. I went to an all-girls school, which was a rubbish decision on my parents' part. Very distracted I was at school, but also I had just a desire to get to work. I wanted to earn money quite quickly. I didn't love all sort of the academic side of education. So I left school at 16 with D's in maths and English, and you know, C's and B's, not a bad set of results, but certainly I couldn't have gone on to further education, sixth form, A-levels, with the selection of results that I had. So I left school and went straight to work and worked in retail. I had a great first job working in a curtain shop for a couple of years, and it was, you know, from that experience working in the curtain shop, you know, retail is a great place to learn loads of different skills. I, you know, went from there to a job in sales and marketing, and from a job in sales and marketing to recruitment, and eventually when I was working in recruitment, I was really taken with this idea that young people weren't being prepared for the world of work. By the time I left school, I had got quite a level of confidence in my skills, my ability, my independence to be able to go work full time. And then by the time we got to 2000, sort of 5-6 years later, there seemed to be, you know, a real change in that perception of young people. And so I was quite interested in that. I got involved in careers education. I started volunteering with schools to go and talk to young people about their careers, because I genuinely believe the world of work is really exciting. And if you know how to navigate it, and if you know how to build your careers and your skill set, gosh, you guys can be anything. You know, it's something I tell all young people, and my children included. The world is absolutely your oyster. There should be no barriers to your own success. I was a free school meal student. I didn't achieve good GCSEs. I haven't got any higher level of academic, you know, success. And yet I am now the CEO of Youth Employment UK. I founded the organisation back in 2011, 2012. And we spend, you know, our time helping more than 100,000 young people every month access skills and careers information. We work with the government, so I work with the Cabinet Office, I work with Number 10, all with a D in maths and English. You know, there is no limit to your success other than your own aspirations and desire and hunger for it, I think. So and that was something that I'm really passionate about, in sharing what that looks like for other young people, so that they can, you know, I'm just letting Georgie in, and sharing that success so that other young people can realise that their potential is limitless, which I really believe it is. I think I've really developed key skills, you know, through my career. I think, you know, my communication, my ability to build relationships with people are some of the things that make me really successful in the career path that I've had. I think my ability to, I guess, suss out a situation and work out how people in the situation can all win. It's a bit of a sales technique, I think I've probably picked up on the way. But if I can win and you can win, we get a really great result in whatever interaction and activity we're having. And that certainly helps me working with the government, is if I can help them think that they're going to win something, they want to bring me to the table and they want to talk to me. But I'm certainly getting out from them what they get from me too. So I think I've been developing my skills all the time. But one of the things that I wanted to show you, I'm in my office today because my kids and husband are at home hoovering, so I thought I'd come and get out of the way and do this quietly. But one of the things I wanted to show you is just around me. This is I'm at my desk. I've just constantly got books about developing myself and developing my skills. In this office, there's another office here at Youth Employment UK where I've got another 20 self-help guidebooks. Even though I left school at 16 and didn't love formal education, I haven't stopped investing in my skills and my ability to progress and believing in myself. So I think that's one of the big things I sort of encourage anybody really of any age, is to say, actually, there is no limit. You don't have to stop just because you're outside of formal education. In learning and improving and being the best version of yourself. And the more of that you do, the more successful will fall into your lap, so to speak. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea about why I think, I'm a good person to provide this presentation, not least because, my own journey has been quite successful without perhaps the help of school and people around me to support me in that journey. So I'm going to just talk about some of the common employability skills that employers are going to be looking for. They're the ones that employers identify and tell us that they're looking for all of the time. Communication, and communication is really broad here. These are really big headings, and there's a lot of information and sort of smaller skills within each of these groups. So it's not just, right, yeah, my communication skills are good. It's, are your communication skills good in the way that you speak and communicate with people of all ages? Are your communication skills good when it comes to negotiating and listening to people and making sure that you're really responding to the needs of other people? Are your communication skills good when you're presenting? If you've got to do a pitch or lead a presentation like this, are your skills good? Are your non-verbal communication skills good? The way that you show that you're engaged with somebody, the way that you show that you're listening. So communication skills is a big, bold title, but it's absolutely massive in what sits underneath. And that also includes your communication skills and your writing and your ability to communicate via email or with the CV that you're preparing, so that you can kind of move on into that next phase of your journey. So really important that you get to understand what sits under each of these skills, and how you then can build kind of almost do a skills analysis. Where are you in that journey of having great communication skills? What's a bit weaker? What is your strengths? And then how do you get the weaker areas of your communication to be as good as your strengths? What can you take personal responsibility of? And no one's going to do this for you. This is stuff that if you want to kind of fulfill your potential, you've really got to kind of put the work in. I often say, when I'm working in schools and working with younger students, I often liken it to, if you think about the sports people that and or any professional that I'm a rugby girl, so if I think about Johnny Wilkinson, he was the fly half for England when we won the Rugby World Cup back in 2003, my total hero. Johnny Wilkinson didn't just become the best fly half in the world because he practiced a little bit and he'd got some natural skill. Johnny Wilkinson became the best fly half in the world because before every training session, he would be out on the rugby pitch. Before anyone ever turned up to the club, he would be out on the rugby pitch kicking and practicing his kicking at different places across the pitch, further away from the goalpost, closest to the goalpost, right on the edge of the pitch, right in the centre. And he would spend hours and hours and hours practicing every day. After a game, Johnny Wilkinson, if he missed a kick during a game, sorry if you don't know anything about rugby, but I know nothing about football, so it has to be a rugby analogy, otherwise we'll all get lost. But Johnny Wilkinson, after a game, if he missed a kick during that game, he would, when everyone's gone in to shower and change and go and have some beers and celebrate the wins and the losses, Johnny Wilkinson would stay out on the pitch and practice kicking from the place where he had missed the kick from, so that he didn't miss that kick again. You know, this is what makes you the best in class, is if you really understand what skill you need and the depth of skills, and then you spend the time analysing that skill set that you have, working on bridging those gaps and building and strengthening. And I'm 40 years old. I have been working for 24 years, and I'm still reading books that are going to help me develop and grow. I listen to a podcast every day on my way into work. It's a leadership podcast, and I pick up books. They're beside my bed. They're everywhere, as I've said. And that's what makes me successful, is my determination to be the best across the skills that I need in my job. So communication is a big one, and teamwork. I think there is a message in the chat box. I'm just going to check. What books do you recommend? Good question, Amy. I guess it really depends on what you want to do with your future. So for me, I love psychology and sales and marketing. I'm a business owner. So the books I have around me all tend to be books that will lend into those things that I need in my job. You know, I need the sales and marketing skills in my job to make sure that Employment UK survives and brings in an income, and the business management and leadership skills. So it really depends on what career you're looking for. But I think that's a great question. If you post any sort of careers that you're thinking about, your aspirations, I will come back to you, if not today, but by Monday, with a reading list, if that's helpful, and some generic stuff too. So communication, teamwork. So we talked about that. Teamwork. This is really important. You know, there's going to be a lot of careers are going to be lost in the age of artificial intelligence. We're going to see lots more automation, and we're going to see robots, you know, doing quite a lot of those kind of process jobs that would have been there in the labour market. But what robots can't do is they don't have teamwork skills. They can't learn from each other. They can't have empathy. They don't listen to the strengths and the skills of other team members to kind of really work well together in that way. You know, there are just some things that robots will never be able to do, and employers recognise that. They recognise that in many environments, you know, we're a really small team here. I've only got 5 staff, but we work really tightly as a team. We have to, because we have a lot to do. There's a real big challenge in the youth employment space right now, and so, you know, we all have to have each other's backs. We all have to support each other. Some of us, you know, will have a bad day, and the rest of us get in and support and rally around that colleague. We recognise each other's strengths and weaknesses. We recognise how each other likes to be led and managed and supported. And all of those skills are part of teamwork, are part of being part of an organisation, and are really, really important. 2 more questions. Perhaps you're telling me what aspirations you've got. Right, Alex wants a reading list. That's fine. How do you build good teamwork skills? Having dyspraxia can make it harder for me to build work relationships. That's a really great question. And actually, Tim, I don't even know that I'm the right person to answer this. So why don't we stop for a second, because it means I can drink some coffee. If you guys on the call have a view about how you build teamwork skills with dyspraxia, and how you've overcome some of the obstacles that might put in your way, can you unmute yourself and perhaps just let's have a conversation about how you've done it? Jess, what do you think?
I think it'll be personal to each person, because everyone's dyspraxia is different. I think I think it's just being like, what's the word? Like I welcoming and being like, because teamwork skills could be just being able to support one another. And if you see a colleague that needs, who also might need extra help to do a task, like they might have a deadline and they're struggling to keep up with it, that maybe you could work together.
Excellent. And that's, yeah, absolutely. Teamwork doesn't have to be about you taking the lead. It can be about you just recognizing other people within the team and knowing how to help. Do we have someone else that wants to speak?
I think
I can't see all of you.
Faye, did you want to put your microphone on?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
It sounds a bit silly, but I would say it's all about the practice. I work with autistic kids who struggle to, I mean, it's suppose the same thing for working relationships, struggle to go and speak to somebody or work as part of a team. And we say, maybe some sentence starters, do you need some help with that? Can I get the door for you? Basic things like that. And you find that you will naturally go into a bit of a conversation. And I get that some people might be shy, but maybe just having that initiative, or observing a lot of what goes on a day-to-day as well. But I do think it's one of those things where if you want to get better at teamwork, practicing is, practice in different situations, and you will pick it up over time. That's what we tell our students. And I'm thinking if you struggle with teamwork and obviously initiating the conversation, maybe watch what's being said, watch what's happening, and chip in where you feel comfortable would be my advice.
Great stuff. So Shan, did you want to say something?
Yeah. Main thing I was thinking was it's important to be, can you hear me, sorry?
Yeah.
Okay. Being open and honest with your team as early as you can, as early as you're comfortable. So people know what you maybe bring to the table, what your struggles may be if you have dyspraxia, so that people are aware. So it's not just a surprise when a struggle occurs, and then there could be some possible animosity that way. So if you're open right from the beginning, particularly with, say, your managers and people directly above you, as in your line manager, things like that, can make life a lot easier.
Yeah. Katrina's put she finds it hard sometimes in the workplace for people to understand when she's struggling, and I think Shashant is really right there. We in my team, I've got a member of staff who's got bipolar, and we had a team meeting only last week where we were talking about each other's needs and talking, with that team member about how we can recognize when that team member's having a bad day and what they would need from us when they're having a bad day. But actually, the rest of us sometimes have bad days. Those with small children that aren't getting any sleep can have a bad day in the office too. So it was about recognizing where each other's sort of push points are, and just being really honest and upfront, because actually if I'm aware of that with colleagues in my team, I'm really comfortable and really happy then to kind of step in and help. It's sometimes it's not being aware that it makes it really difficult to navigate. Kendrick, you have your hand up, I think. Did you want to speak if you unmute yourself? Hi.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah, I think one of the ways you could sort of help the dyspraxic people in teamwork is whether you're sort of in a team or the leader of a team, is to sort of focus on people's strengths rather than the weaknesses. So things to feel good at, because some dyspraxic people might be really poor at, say, handwriting, but might be really good at computers. So if you're giving them those areas where they are skilled, that sort of improves their confidence and they're able to sort of contribute better. Another example could also sort of make reasonable adjustments. So someone in the kitchen who's peeling potatoes, for example, might struggle with a potato peeler, but might be able to sort of peel potatoes with a knife. So just making that adjustment improves their confidence, makes them feel useful. So those are ways you can sort of help someone with dyspraxia in the team.
Yeah, they're good tips. And Amy has put that she's lost 2 jobs due to her dyspraxia. Really sorry, Amy, and it's pretty unacceptable. in terms of those employers. But without getting into the detail of those employers, I guess it's what Faye and the others have just said, you know, in terms of if you can, when you start a job, have a really honest conversation as soon as possible with that line manager, you know, and not be afraid, because actually if you're really honest about your dyspraxia and your needs and the reasonable adjustments that can be made, if that employer then seems nervous or you know is not going to be supportive, walk away from the bloody job, you know, and go and find an employer like us, you know, who's really youth friendly, who's really disability friendly, and who will make those adjustments. I think you have to be really honest, and then if you get a sense actually they're not going to support you, don't stay, don't put yourself in that situation. Kendrick's right, of course there is legal ramifications to an organisation, you know, making, sacking you or getting rid of you, whatever circumstance that happened. Let's not get into that specific. Perhaps Jess can pick up if there's some specific, you know, personal issues there in terms of that employer and what next and what advice can be done. And I'm happy to do that offline. If we get into, you know, those right now, we won't kind of finish this presentation. Is that okay if we pick it up offline, Jess, in some other way, if we can support Amy and colleagues?
Yeah, that's fine. We can have a conversation afterwards, because I think it's quite a big and important conversation to have. We want to do it justice rather than trying to do it briefly in an hour.
Yes, please. That would be great, and I'm really happy to lend our support to all of you on a personal level if we can. So let's move through the presentation, and then and certainly no, I am not a dyspraxia expert. I'm not an expert in anything, mate. So I would have to be really confident in any information I give you by going away and coming back to provide information based on what I hear. So let's not do that now. Let's do that at a separate time. The teamwork is one, and I guess that's perhaps sounds like the big challenge for people with dyspraxia is that communication and working with other people. And so hopefully we've given some tips, but there are more coming. So bearing in mind, teamwork is something that you're going to be able to need to develop at some level. It doesn't have to be, I'm a massive hugger. You don't have to be that human, but there are very subtle, very gentle ways you can be part of a team and contribute that will suit your personality and your needs. And that's just really great to be aware of those. Problem solving is something that is also really required for employers. We need, particularly in my business, I think as a small employer, I need my staff to take initiative and to be able to solve the problems and really think about them. There's nothing worse than, my to-do list. This is my to-do list. I've got to work all weekend because I have a to-do list that fills this entire book. So there's nothing worse when I'm really busy having someone come and ask me the answer to a question that they really have got the answer to, or the answer's available to them if they just thought about it and took some time or, reflected on it. So really important where you can recognize within yourself, if you're dealing with a problem or a challenge, asking yourself, how can I address this myself first? Do I really need to go and get help? Or are there 3 or 4 things I can do to break that problem down, to understand what I might be able to do, to try a few solutions before I then have to go and escalate? Problem solving is a great skill to have, because you'll just be adding more value to the employer you work with if you're a good problem solver. Self-belief, and I guess this came up at Amy's point, self-belief is really important. Your dyspraxia shouldn't define who you are or your confidence in yourself and your ability to be a great employee somewhere, and to contribute to the world in whatever form that looks like. You've got to find in yourself the things that you are brilliant at, and there will be many. I've known Jess, as we said, for so long, and Jess has just got some phenomenal skills. She probably doesn't recognize them in herself, but in her ability to her empathy for other people, and to listen to other people and to respect other people's views, to support other people really naturally and carefully, and to get things done. Jess has never, I don't remember a deadline that Jess has ever missed, and she's always put herself out of her comfort zone. She's been to events with us that have been massively out of their comfort zone, but she's been able to do all of those things and to take on challenges head on like that. all really quietly and unassumingly too. So Jess has got these phenomenal range of skills, and I can't speak for any of you because I don't know you, but I know that with Jess, her dyspraxia doesn't define who she is. It just makes her, you know, an even more valuable human being in my book, because it gives her a different set of skills that I don't have, because I'm like a bloody bull in a china shop, because, you know, I have a different range of skills there. So knowing what your skills are and maybe doing that skill analysis, and having some people who love you help you to do your skill analysis, because we're often our biggest critics. So having some other people sit with you, work with you, you know, your friends, your parents, family members, whoever, somebody who you've worked with, who you know and trust, having them help you do your skill analysis can be a great way of you building those kind of foundations, because you'll be really critical of yourself, and you shouldn't be. Self-management then is the next skill, and the fifth skill that we talk a lot about at Youth Employment UK. And when we talk about self-management, we're talking about your ability to turn up on time, your ability, if you've got a to-do list like mine, that you can manage that, you can break it down into chunks, you can get, you know, your own responsibilities met and dealt with. You know, there's a lot in that. And actually, I think, you know, from what I know of Jess and her dyspraxia, she's put in some really great mechanisms to be able to kind of self-manage and get deadlines done and meet her responsibilities. So there are a lot within that category of self-management. Oh, Faye has just put, she's always said dyspraxia is a gift. You see the world differently, and that makes you unique. Precisely, Faye. That's a really great great descriptor there. I totally agree with you. Right, so they're the 5 skills, and I'm going to make sure that you've got some tools to go and do some self-analysis around those 5 skills. So we'll come off them for a bit, but you're going to get some more information from us, if that's okay. This is a very big, bright, colourful page, and what this is a lot of researchers who work in the employability sector defined what a person, any age, but you know, we're talking about young people here, that's my expert bag, what young people need around them in their backpack, you know, the Dora Explorer kind of backpack, to ensure that they're gonna. I started watching Dora the Explorer last night, which is why it's in my head in a reference, apologies. But you know, what do you need around you to get your journey done? So wherever it is that you're going, what factors, what things do you need in that locker, in that backpack? So I'm going to start from left to right, and I'm just going to briefly touch on them again. We don't have huge amounts of time in this session, but hopefully the resources that we provide you at the end will allow you to go away and do some of your own independent learning and thinking about these. And my contact details will be at the end too, so you can always pick up with me and support. It seems like Faye is someone that might be able to support with other conversations too. So personal circumstances, you know, making sure that actually wherever you're looking for work, however you're looking to progress, that you've got the access to transport, to getting online and good support around you, to make sure that you have got what you need. If there is something within your dyspraxia that you really need an employer or someone to make reasonable adjustments, being really clear of those, and being really clear of where the support is to help employers to make those reasonable adjustments. I often find that if an employer knows what somebody needs with a disability, they're pretty good at providing it. Most employers just have this issue that they don't want to cause offence. They don't know enough about the disabilities, and so their ignorance kind of creates fear. So if you can come to them and go, okay, this is the list, this is how we can do this, you know, solve the problem for them, actually you might find them really receptive. And of course, you know, through DWP, there's quite a lot of support for employers to make reasonable adjustments for people with disabilities coming into their employment. So it's worth you knowing what you need and how an employer can access that, so you're already coming to them with a solution, instead of, you know, giving them fear that they're going to get this wrong and say the wrong word and upset the world. And there is a lot of fear around employers because of, you know, the rightly so, but you know, the ability that you have and the rights that you have to kind of hold them to account. So it does cause a bit of fear. I you know, 9 cases out of 10 would say by having an honest conversation and being ready with the answers, you'll be halfway there. Just checking this question. Ah, there you go. So Alex had been in touch with somebody who he was interviewing with and asked for the questions to be sent ahead of time, which they did do, so he could get some preparation done. But I'm assuming, sorry, Alex is. I can't see, Alex, your face to know whether you're an Alex boy or an Alex girl. I'm really sorry if I got that wrong. I can only see 3 pictures on my screen at the minute. So there's a couple there of tips going into the box. That, you know, share your tips as we're talking. If something's been really helpful for you, share that in the chat box for others. So I'm moving around the wheel again. So emotional capabilities, your self-esteem, your independence are going to be things that are really important in your journey and making sure that you can be successful. Being aspirational and having really big career goals. You absolutely should have any career that you want to have. There should be no limit to that. Having a good attitude to work, you know, that it's something that you want, that you're passionate about, that you've got the drive and motivation. I have seriously interviewed young people who have come to an interview with me and have no motivation for our work or, you know, helping other young people or doing anything. And there's nothing worse than interviewing someone who doesn't really care. They're just looking for any old job. That makes me very, very sad. So being motivated is really key. So your attitude around you is going to be something that actually, if you show that positive attitude, that motivation, well, for me, that would almost get you, you know, guarantee you a job with us. Employability skills, we've talked about those, so I won't come back to them. The qualifications, education, training. So we've talked about that personal development that you can do around reading and acquiring different skills and information. There are also lots of free online courses that you can do and other sort of training opportunities. Open University have over 700 free qualifications that you can do. I've been doing a Open University course on communication, and it's just a free course. I'm doing it. It's quite easy for me to do on my phone, you know, and it's a couple of hours, and then you get a little badge to say that you've done it. So there's lots of different ways that you can kind of go and improve your qualifications and your education background, even if you've left school formally, just to pick up some of that online learning. My son has recently just completed the basic Microsoft training program, which is free at the minute. Government have kind of, when schools closed, government put a lot of courses online on the Department for Education website. So he's been working through a couple of those to boost his skills, ready for his journey. Experience and involvement, these are great things for you to build your skills, but also really important to show an employer. Unfortunately, too many employers want you to have experience. So how do you show that experience without having experience? It's catch-22 for all young people. But volunteering or, you know, getting some form of experience in your community is a great thing to have on your CV. And then the career management stuff, knowing how to job search, knowing how to write a great CV, and knowing how to present yourself are really also important. So if you kind of work around that wheel, if they are, you know, really sort of, if you can evaluate whether you've got those skills already or if there's some things that you need to work on, it gives you something, you know, really tangible to do in terms of your own success and your management of your success and the control that you have, so that you know that you've kind of filled all those buckets up as you're looking for work. I think there's a couple of questions. I'm just going to come back to the chat box before we move on. Yeah, Tim's put, if you put in the preparation, you feel positive, the moment you turn up to a workplace for the interview, you can show your boss and be inspired. Yeah, preparation, we're going to come on to that, but preparation is key. No, the DFE courses, Alex, are free for everyone. There is a link on our website to them, and I'm going to link you to our website. So yeah, if you can't find them through our website, just let me know and I'll help you. Yeah, one of the questions I asked in an interview was, what training development can you offer the selected candidates? Great question to ask. I love it if you've got a couple of questions in you know, ready to ask at the end of an interview, and we'll come on to some of those. Right, and Faye's put in some great quotes, which is, they're fab, Faye. You can't blend in when you were born to stand out, and nobody normal ever made anything meaningful in this world. Absolutely. People are often so surprised that I have got no qualifications to do my job. You know, most of the CEOs are like Oxford graduates who I work with, and they're just always amazed if they find out that, you know, I was a free school meal child without any qualifications to speak of. Yeah, absolutely. But my personal experience makes me a better CEO than perhaps some of the others who are supporting social mobility, which is something that we talk about a lot in my sector, who have never moved in any social mobility direction because they were lucky enough to be born in advantage. So why are these skills important? Right, these skills, you know, the wheel and the 5 skills that we've talked about are really important to employers. Employers are telling us more and more that they want to see those skills more than they want to see qualifications. So if you can demonstrate those skills on your CV, you will get, you know, ahead. They will be interested in talking to you if you can show off those skills. But also by you having those skills, you know, self-belief, self-management, communication skills, your life will be richer because you'll be able to do more and achieve more. So it's not just about, don't just develop them because you want to get a job, develop them because it will make your life's experience all the more richer for having those skills. And I think that's you know, it's important to do this not just for somebody else but for yourself. And so I wanted just to raise that point. So how can you develop them? So, oh, my coffee's empty. How do we do that? So you can become a young professional. So at Youth Employment UK, we know that not all young people get access to being told about these skills. You know, careers education is still pretty rubbish in 9 out of 10 schools across the country. So young people aren't being taught the skills that they need. They're not being told about the careers that exist. So we created a free program called The Young Professional, which is ultimately aimed at 14 to 24-year-olds. But anybody, we don't stop anybody from using it. So if you're 25, if you're 30, if you're 40, actually the Young Professional will always teach you something that will help you on your journey. So whoever you are, we would really encourage you to become a young professional. I will show you the Young Professional. In fact, I did put it up on my screen just so you could have a quick look at it. I'll just do the chat box first. Sounds like the undated. Yeah, the Young Professional sounds like the Undatables, Tim. Is that what you're saying? Oh, does it? That's interesting. If that's what you're saying, you should let me know. We might have to fix that. Or maybe the Undatables is okay too, right? Don't know. Anyway, this is our website, and if you click onto the section called Young People, because young people have told us that careers education is rubbish, they don't know what skills they need, they're big barriers to all young people to moving on. We have built, without funding, this incredible resource on our website. On the left here is the Young Professional, on the right is a really comprehensive careers hub, which talks about all the different careers that exist, all the different sectors, how you get different types of jobs. You can go into it. Well, let's have a quick look. You can go into it and find out about, we'll start with health and science. There's lots of different sectors there, but you can go into any of those sectors, find out what is health and science, what is that sector, what sort of jobs are there, which employers are youth friendly. So these employers have committed to removing barriers for young people and to being inclusive for all young people. So do take a look to see if any of the employers are of interest to you. You can find out about the pay for that sector, and then you can get into any of the career roles that might be of interest to you. And you can find out how you become that job, if there's an apprenticeship, if there's a training route, if there's a university route, what sort of pay is there, what a typical day is like, and so much more information. So the Careers Hub is a really useful tool if you have yet to decide what career you're looking for. It's worth having a play in and explore of the Careers Hub. But also within our site is loads of advice and tips for young people. So lots of information about picking, you know, and the pathways between GCSEs and college and uni and apprenticeships. Loads of getting a job advice and starting a business advice. Lots of help on student finance, mental health and volunteering too. So, and lots of our content is written by young people. In fact, I'm fairly certain if I put Jess's name into our search bar, I'd find content that Jess had wrote for us when she was an ambassador 8 years ago. So lots of content written by young people for young people, which makes the site really engaging, I think. But this is the young professional. You would come into our young professional area. You do have to register for the young professional. You don't have to register for the careers hub, but because when you register, you are asked to complete an online quiz, and then you get a certificate to say that you're a young professional member of Youth Employment UK. So we email that certificate. So that's where you register. But also we really encourage you to join and sign up to our newsletter, because every week we send out a newsletter to our young professionals which talks about another skill, which helps you think about, you know, we've been writing a lot of content for young professionals about lockdown. How can you develop your skills when we're all in lockdown, and how can you boost your team working skills? There's loads of advice in our young professional area. This is the quiz. You would come online, watch the videos on communication and teamwork skills, the ones we talked about, identify, you know, kind of whether you feel more confident or not, and then at the end of it you have become a young professional. And then at the young professional you then have an area on the website for your own dashboard, and if you click onto that dashboard, I just need to move that out of my way. If you click into the dashboard, you will see more and more advice and tips. We're doing a lot of work on the dashboard, the young professional dashboard, over the summer. But in here, you will be able to find, you know, think about the wheel again. We'll be providing specific advice to young people about each aspect of the wheel, how they develop themselves within that wheel, how they boost their confidence, how they you know, kind of can move their journey forward. But currently what you can find are all of the content pieces we've ever written about some of the things that we've talked about this morning, how to be part of the team when you're working from home, etc. But you'll also find there's content pieces here for young people who are introverts or extroverts, young people with additional needs. There'll be specific articles in that section for you. So becoming a young professional is definitely one thing we recommend. I'm going to come back to my presentation now. Yes, Beth, do have a look. Honestly, Katrina, you're not too old to be engaged with us. Go and have a look at the site. If we can help you, I don't care how old you are. You know, my life mission was just to help other people, you know, have a great journey to work and be able to fulfill their potential. We do focus here on young people, but you know, there's days where I still think I'm young, so we don't exclude anybody of any age. So the young professional is one thing. Volunteering and work experience, there's loads of great volunteering opportunities out there. So, and volunteering charities who run volunteers are really getting much better about making sure the volunteers get more and more help and support and recognition for the work that they do. You know, when Jess was an ambassador for us 8 years ago, certainly say that we've been improving our volunteer program all the way through since, and we're still improving it now. We've got some kind of big ideas again across the summer that we're implementing. But there are other charities you might have a real interest in working in, you know, childcare, so volunteering or getting involved in work experience within a childcare setting will really boost your CV. If you can find work experience or a volunteering opportunity that aligns to your career aspiration, that will help you build your network in that sector, that will help you build your understanding in that sector, and will absolutely give you kind of that boost in your confidence. Your own personal projects, hobbies and activities, you know, we don't talk enough about those, but I used to play rugby for, you know, I played at quite a high level, and I played rugby for England, and I'm pretty sure playing rugby for England got me my first sales job because it was something to talk about. And you know, when you play a sport, you can show teamwork skills, you can show communication skills. You know, it's something that you might have in common with other people. So you know, you might have a sport, you might be a crafter, you might be into geocaching, walking, hiking. You know, whatever that is, there'll be something within that really connects to another person, and I think it's really important to bring it out, because it will also be whatever that personal hobby or project is that you're involved in, will also, you know, be building your skills all the time. One thing I don't think that we do enough of is take the time to reflect on what skills we're building when we're doing a hobby or when we're volunteering, and reflect on those skills, learn more about those skills, and learn how to build on those skills. So definitely I would spend some time doing, you know, some skills analysis and really congratulating yourself on the skills you've got today and looking forward to the skills that you can continue to develop and grow. Just some more points in the chat box. I think I will just have a quick look as we go. So Katrina's working in childcare and she really enjoys it. Tim volunteers for the Dyspraxia Foundation. Oh, I had a call with them yesterday, Tim. I'm speaking with Claire at the Dyspraxia Foundation, and they've asked if we will support them with the skills and careers information. So perhaps our paths will cross again. And Beth is desperately trying to get out of childcare. Well, there you go. Sometimes it's good to volunteer and realise you don't like a particular sector. I mean, you know, when I did my work experience, you know, I worked in an office, literally filing and doing basic admin, and I realised it was a useful experience, because I think all experiences are useful. Everything teaches us something, but it was also useful because I realised I didn't want a static office job. You know. Says the girl that works 16-hour days at her desk 6 days a week, but it's different. I'm not filing. Tim, you work with Claire. Good, then we definitely we'll connect again, I'm sure. So that's how I think you can be developing your skills. And definitely go and have a look around the Youth Employment UK website, because it'll give you more ideas about those skills and how to build them, and probably a lot more confidence. Improving your job hunting success. Okay, this is the bit that I think we don't have a lot of time left. I'm happy to run a bit over, but of course if you have to go, I think Jess had put this into 12:30. So don't stay if you have to get going. It's being recorded and you'll be able to access it. But one of the things I don't think we do enough of is talk to young people about their CV and getting this right. When we just have literally hired 2 apprentices at Youth Employment UK, policy and research apprentice and their marketing apprentice, both doing a level 4 apprenticeship, and hopefully they'll go on to do degree apprenticeships with us. And you know, they're phenomenal young people. Amazing jobs, Beery and Kettering in Northamptonshire. They're the sorts of jobs that don't come around very often, really well paid too. And the amount of people that sent in rubbish CVs and rubbish applications to us. We posted the jobs on Indeed, and there's obviously a function on Indeed that you can just click a button that says apply. So people were just applying without reading anything about us, without showing any kind of attention to detail. Largely because in our application process, we had said, please don't send a CV. We just want you to answer 3 questions, because, you know, we know CVs don't tell you enough about a person. So we just wanted people to tell us why they wanted to work for us, what skills they thought they would bring. And I can't remember what the 3rd question was. But, you know, we must have, out of 80 applicants for the marketing job, 70 must have just ignored that instruction and just sent us their CV. No covering letter, no attention to detail shown in it whatsoever. And there was not one of those 70 candidates I brought forward for an interview, because actually if you can't take the time to really understand an employer and a role and what they're looking for, you're just not going to do yourself any justice whatsoever. So I really think, you know, yes, there's an element to job hunting that's a bit of a numbers game, but if you do not read that job description, get to know a little bit about the company, and then use your CV or your covering letter or your application to show them and tell them explicitly why you are the candidate that they should choose. Why should they choose you over, you know, hundreds of other candidates? Because of the pandemic, job hunting is going to get really tough. You know, I'm sorry if you are looking for work, but you know, it is not a great picture right now. There are nearly 8 people unemployed for every 1 job that's being advertised. So it is going to be really hard. So actually, out of all of those people, you have got to stand out. You've got to take some time. Make sure your CV is written well, you've got good spelling on it, you know, that you've tailored it to the job description, covering letter, and say, hey employer, I've looked at your website, I love what you're doing, I'm so motivated by your sector because I'm so interested in working for you, because I think I can add this type of value to your organization. Because if you don't do those things, you're just the same as, you know, all other 70 candidates, you know, and that, I'm afraid, does take time, but I think it's well worth it. I think it's a thing that young people aren't taught enough to do, and so they just send massive amounts of applications out and get rejection letter after rejection letter, or don't even get heard. If I got a CV with a spelling mistake, it's going in the bin. Now, this is really important to know. If if your CV looks ugly, if there are spelling mistakes all over it, I just will put it in the bin here. And I'm really youth friendly, and I know my spelling is not great. I found myself sharing a tweet that I used wrong there and there because I was quick typing. It happens, it really does. But if you want to show somebody that you have got attention to detail and you care about quality, which all employers do, I own a business, I've got to make sure that we do everything to the best quality possible. So if you send me a CV, which is your first impression, and you don't do that in the way that is going to give you a great impression, the result's not good. And so that might mean that you have to go and get someone to proofread your CV. Send it to me. Find someone around you. Go and talk to a recruitment agency and get them to check it over, because there's a lot of people that can help you, and there's a lot of advice online about job hunting and applications and covering letters. So there's not a lot of reason not to get that right. Kendrick, you raised your hand. Did you want to come in with a point?
Just a question, really. A lot of employers still insist on applications just being sort of handwritten. This is quite a problem for people with dyslexia. So how will someone with dyslexia deal with this? Because obviously the writing wouldn't be clear. So would they be able to challenge that and ask the employer for if they could do the application online?
Sure. I mean, most businesses that we work with do have online applications. So I haven't come across many that don't now. When we talk to employers and we provide advice to employers about being youth friendly, we absolutely talk to them about removing those barriers by making sure that their process is inclusive. So whichever approach that they're using, we ask employers not to ask for work experience if it's not required for the job. We ask employers not to ask for qualifications if it's an entry job. We do a lot of work with employers, and one of the things that we're going to be doing with the Dyspraxia Foundation is a workshop for employers to understand how they can be more youth friendly towards people with dyspraxia, and make sure that they are going through that process. So perhaps when we do that workshop, we as a group here can really share that workshop on our socials to make sure more and more employers understand that it's a challenge for young people with dyspraxia to put that request in. And if your handwriting is poor, do you know what? I would get someone else to help you with writing it, or and just put that out there, unless the job requires you to be handwriting, and that's a strange thing. I guess if it's a more manual job without computers, there's probably a need to have handwritten notes if you've got to write notes or leave messages for people or write up order forms, and it has to be done by hand because it's it's a more old-fashioned company. I guess the thing is they're testing there is that they can read your handwriting, so that they can follow that process. So you might just need to pick up the phone to them and say, look, you've asked for handwriting. Is it really essential? I have dyspraxia, which means, handwriting's not great. Are there other methods and things that we can do that can mean I can still apply and have an equal opportunity for this job? So perhaps there are other strategies too that you can use. I mean, my handwriting is shocking too, but I don't think I've had to put in a handwritten application for a long time. So I'm surprised that you're still being asked. So let's help employers understand that's a barrier for young people or for all people with dyspraxia. What did I do there? So just somebody said it earlier too. The trick for interviews: prepare and prepare some more. Again, when we did interview the people for our apprenticeship, I it wasn't that long ago, but I remember, one young guy who came in, he was really scruffily dressed. He clearly he just had a cigarette before he walked into the building, and I'm an ex-smoker. I don't have an issue with people smoking, but it's, a time and a place. Think about what that's going to, what vibe that's going to give off when you walk into an interview. It's the first impression you want to give to people. He wasn't smartly dressed, as I say. He had no paperwork with him, so he hadn't written down any questions. He hadn't brought his CV with him. He hadn't got any notes or anything else like that with him. And actually, I think if you just print off a page or two off the company's website and have that around you, you know, if you've got a nice little folder and you've got a page or two of the company's website, you've got your own CV with you, you've got a couple of notes with your questions that you might want to ask in that interview, that just shows a level of preparation that 9 out of 10 other people won't use, and that will give you a real, you know, that'll give you a really great first impression. But do prepare, practice some interview questions you might be asked, practice how you're going to let them know about your dyspraxia, practice how you're going to let them know what needs you then have and what adjustments they might need to make, practice how you are going to shake hands. Not that you can shake hands because COVID won't let you shake hands, but in a world where you can, again, shake hands with people, all of those things are really, really important. Get someone to give you some interview questions. We've got loads of interview questions around the site, so you can print off a list of typical interview questions and practice them. You know, go in there being so prepared. And I would also say, you know, arrive a little early, 10 minutes early, check your journey out beforehand, and all of those things. So you know, there's loads of advice and guidance online, particularly on our website. Get yourself ready. Yeah, and a portfolio, Alex, is a great thing. If you have done things like you're saying there, coding, or if you're a drawer, an artist, or if you have been working in early years and you've developed your own skills in early years, and you can kind of build some pictures or evidence of the impact you've made around you, take all of those things with you. I love someone coming and being prepared. Now, I will give you a top tip. When you've finished your interview and you've done this amazing job because you're amazing and you were prepared and you were brilliant, because you're brilliant, and they say to you, do you have any questions for us? And bearing in mind you've told them about your dyspraxia, but you've not apologised for having dyspraxia. You've just told them how it's going to make you an awesome employee and what they need to do to support you. Do not apologise for having dyspraxia or feel any less because of it. But when you've done all of that and you're wrapping up your interview and you've asked your questions about whether they're going to help develop you and, you know, all of those great things, the last question to ask them before you leave is, tell them that you're really interested in the job, that you've loved meeting them, and then say to them, do they have any doubts or reservations about hiring you? Because you'd like to address those there and then. Because if I've got a little doubt in my mind, say that I don't think Faye's got very good Excel skills and that's part of the job. If I say to Faye, because she's just asked me if I had any reservations, I could say, well, Faye, I'm a bit worried. I haven't seen you demonstrate your Excel skills and they're going to be really important into the job. That would give Faye another opportunity to kind of get there and have another crack at the whip, so to speak. So that's a really great tip I give to people at the end of the interview. There were some other comments there in the box. I've only experienced the traditional in-person job interviews, but in my job I found meetings on Teams, Zoom easier. You will find at the minute that quite a lot of employers will be needing to use Teams and Zoom and different platforms to do virtual meetings. So that might be something that comes up. Right. Oh, Faye, I think Faye was putting that she could guess what my last question was going to be. Sorry, Faye, I should have seen that first. How are you going to support me with my dyspraxia? I don't know that I'd ask it that way, Faye. I think I would probably, you know, have said, I have dyspraxia. This is what it means, and these are the things that I'll need to be supported in employment. I think if you were just to come out and go, "How are you?" I mean, I'd pat myself a little bit because I wouldn't be prepared to answer that question. You'd put them on the spot. I think if you really kindly offer that advice and openness, that's the best way of doing it. Okay, right. This is my last slide, which has just got all of the links. So we've talked about the young professional, we've talked about the careers hub. One of the things that we produced because of lockdown is this amazing looking for work booklet, which you are all now very ready for. So this is a activity booklet that I wrote that's got loads of the information that we've talked about today. So it'll give you a really good kind of tool to reflect back on the conversation and anything that I might have missed in this way. There's a lot of content in here, but this is an interactive index, so you can jump to the section that you're most interested in. We haven't really talked about things like developing developing your own professional brand. That's really important. You guys should be absolutely out there developing your professional brand. But perhaps, you know, that might be something you want to go and do a dive on. And really useful tool in here around developing your skills that I wanted to show you is we work with a partner called Skills Builder, and they've created this framework that focuses on some of those skills that we've talked about, and you can rate yourself against them. So actually, here's a practical thing that you can go away and do to analyze whether you've got all the skills that an employer is going to be looking for that you need to have a really great life. And if you haven't, or there's the skills you only sometimes use, it can give you that chance to kind of go and develop and think further about the different skills that you can be looking for. So the Looking for Work booklet is also linked in my presentation, and you are very welcome to going and downloading it and using it in any way that it suits you, or don't. There's a couple of other partners that we love. The Prince's Trust do some really great programs, and the National Career Service. If you have got particular career needs that you want to talk to somebody about, the National Career Service is a free government service, and it's telephone and text service, so you can talk to a professional careers advice person who is trained to help you should you need it. And there's some additional organisations that we work with that just might be useful links should you need any extra support. And then that is follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook, connect with me on LinkedIn. There's our email address is there, and it's info@youthemployment.org.uk, and our web address just the same. If you replace the word info with my initials, LJR, Laura Jane Rawlings, you will come to me direct. So if you wanted to speak to me on a one-to-one, you're very welcome to, and you just replace the info with LJR. Jeff, that isn't me done. I don't know if you want to get into some of the questions. I guess what I can do is hand it back to you as the presenter, put you back in charge as rightly you should be.
I can also share your email if you're happy to, or for people to email me, and I can pass on their emails.
Yes, and what I'll do, Jess, if I share with you now the presentation, I'll create it as a PDF document, because then it means all the links in it are live and active. So I'll share it back to you as a presentation, and then you can put it on your site or email it to the group, whatever is easier for everybody.
Yeah, I can do that. And then if it's useful for people, we can maybe by email talk about the Equalities Act and things like that people were discussing earlier on in the presentation.
Good stuff. Right, does anyone have any questions before I go and get another cup of coffee? It's very ready for more coffee, and I've got to start that to-do list. You've been a big distraction this morning from my to-do list. A nice distraction.
Beth said, how important is LinkedIn nowadays? Does everyone use it?
Well, I do. I love LinkedIn. You know, yesterday I had a call with a chap from Venezuela who had connected with me on LinkedIn, and he works for the International Labour Organization, and we're hoping to do some work together. I think having a really good LinkedIn profile does help. I went and had a look at all the candidates that applied for us that I was going to interview. I went and had a look for them on LinkedIn to see who they were and what they were all about, because I don't use other social media channels, so I've got no idea about Instagram or anything else, so LinkedIn is the only place I go. But actually, by you guys connecting with me on LinkedIn and joining conversations that are happening on LinkedIn, you'll build up your personal and professional brand. So if you are a coder, if that's something that you're about, if you build a profile on LinkedIn that shows that you're a coder, shows some of your work off, and you go meet some other coders, and then when those coding organizations, you know, post things and you comment back, all of a sudden you're building up this professional brand of your own. And so I will comment on articles on LinkedIn or posts on LinkedIn with my research and the evidence that we've got at Youth Employment UK, or what we know young people have told us, and that's built my brand up massively. So I love it. My ops director, who's one of the smartest people I know on the planet, hates it and never uses it. So it's you either love it or you don't, use it or don't. I think it's one of those things that's very personal.
I think it's quite good to look for job applications that are currently open, like job adverts.
Alyssa put that she doesn't know how to make it work for her. Alyssa, in our Looking for Work booklet, we've got a bit of a section on using things like LinkedIn. So have a read of that. But actually, there's LinkedIn training for job hunters. There's loads of tips. You'll find YouTube videos. You'll find, some content on our website about it. And LinkedIn do their own training for job hunters. So it's well worth just Googling how to use LinkedIn as a job hunter, and the world will open up and give you so much advice.
Do we have any more questions?
I'm hoping to go. I'm not sure if I want to go self-employed yet, but I'm still building up my professional brand as a sound engineer. But obviously because of COVID and stuff, I've got no work this year. But I'm still trying to develop my skills to improve. I was just wondering if I could send you an email with lists of resources that could possibly help me.
Yes, Tim, absolutely. Prince's Trust do some great programs for young entrepreneurs, so it would be worth having a look at the Prince's Trust stuff.
Yeah, my nearest one's in. I've been to a Prince's Trust before, and my nearest one's in Birmingham, which is quite far away from me.
Where are you in the world, Tim?
Based up in Banbury, which is like North Oxfordshire.
Yeah, I'm in Northamptonshire, so I know Banbury.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Coffee.
It's not that near, but we could always meet for coffee. The Prince's Trust have had to go digital because of COVID, so they've now got a lot of help online. So it's worth reconnecting with them to find out. A lot of their job coaches now available through online chats. The mentoring sessions are being done online. So I think that it's worth having a look at them. Also, DWP, your local job centre, would absolutely have stuff about starting your own business and have some funding available to start your own business too. So I don't know whether you thought about DWP help.
Okay.
I used to work at the Prince's Trust, and I still know quite a few people there. So if you wanted me to connect you with someone that works there, I can do that.
Oh, and look, Louise has put in a link to the BECTU union, who represents sound engineers. So perhaps that's one you can go and have a look at, and go and follow them on Twitter and LinkedIn and meet people within that network, because if you can make some friends within, professional friends, colleagues, if you can make some professional colleagues within the area you want to work with on LinkedIn and just say, I'm a young person looking to start out. Everyone wants to help a young person. You very rarely will someone say, no, go away. So reach out to some people and say, I'm a young professional looking to start my own business. Can you give me any tips? And all of a sudden, it's what the guy from Venezuela did to me. He's like, LJ, I'm really interested in youth unemployment in the UK. Can we have a call? And I was like, yeah, sure. Okay. I mean, I've got no time in my life, but I still managed to find an hour for that chat last night. So people are willing to help. And now he's got a great connection to my network and stuff.
Yeah.
So do that.
Okay.
Yes, and registering as a community interest company, Youth Employment UK is a community interest company, and I found that to be so much easier than any other business kind of formation. And it means we can be a not-for-profit with charitable aims too. So I love being a CIC. Lots of funding now for CICs. When I first became a CIC, most funders were like, you have to be a charity. Whereas now most funders are, we fund both charities and community interest companies. Any other questions?
Hi, sorry.
Hi.
I was just wondering that the slide on the previous slide, there was that document, really long document. What was it called? Where it had the interactive link as well to it.
Yeah, the Looking for Work book.
Yeah, where will that be available?
So it is. We'll put it in the presentation that's coming out to you. But actually, if you just go onto our website and go onto the search bar and put in "Looking for Work" booklets, it will you'll get the link straight away, so you can have it today. But Jess will send this presentation out, and the link is there.
Yeah.
Okay. And the link to this presentation, will that be on the? Because I followed Youth Employment UK on Twitter. Will that be there?
No, because this is just done for Jess today and you guys, so it's a one-off. But Jess will send the presentation to you, so you can access it.
Okay.
I think Claire told me that you and Claire are going to work about doing some sort of employability thing with our youth group.
Yeah, I mean, if you think this is was a useful presentation today,
Yeah,
it might be a lot like this.
Yeah, it was really useful actually. So I might just mention to Claire we'll need next time our meeting. So
Perfect, good stuff. And if any of you want to, you know, write something for us, if you want to, you know, share your experience of being a young person with dyspraxia looking for work, you want to blog for our site, just like Jess did once upon a time, do get in touch. You know, we do have a volunteer program here, and it's quite nice, isn't it, Jess? It's quite friendly.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Right, okay. Jess will send everything out to you guys and my contact details. It's been a total pleasure to talk to you all today. Thank you so much for coming. Cheers, Faye. Good luck in your journeys, and remember, you are bloody awesome. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Take care.
Thank you for speaking with us today.
yeah, thanks for doing
Thank you.
being amazing.
Thank you. Bye. Thanks, Jess.
Bye.